Right. Okay, so my presentation is on how to build sustainable software development teams. It's a presentation I've done previously, but it caused a lot of conversation, so I'm going to run you through it again. So, thank you very much. Teams notifications, always a good one to get rid of. If I can get to it, hold on a second. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Thanks, Christian. My name is Andrew Glass. I've been working with LabVIEW for about 15 to 20 years. Basically in small development teams, primarily to do with aircraft and systems engineering, and mainly military systems. So that's me. Thought I'd bung one of these in here. This is the most weird thing with people messaging me whilst I'm trying to talk. It's quite good, this. I quite like this. Right, so hero's female, Marie Curie. One main reason, she suffered from OCD. She is probably one of the most sort of memorable female scientists in the world, or dead now, obviously. But I really suffer with OCD myself, so it's quite poignant, quite interesting. Right, so sustainable team, let's break it down. 2 words, sustainable and team. Sustainable obviously keeps something going at a set rate for a period of time. And team is obviously a number of people working together. This is how we kind of think of the certification standards and the way a team should be built up within a company. Obviously, architects, developer, CLADs. Me personally, I don't believe in that for anything other than saying this is how good you are. That is how I believe that a structure should be made up. No matter what your certification level is, at the end of the day, you all add something. You all bring something to the table. So having a manager with all these people below them makes it a lot more inclusive for everybody. There's no point in having somebody writing CLA code that a CLAD can't understand. There will be bits which you kind of understand that they will have to do, but there's stuff which uncertified people can do. So fundamentals of getting this team to pull together is collaboration, getting everybody to communicate with each other, common goals, where everybody is pulling in the same direction. These 5 things basically flow through this presentation. Growth. If people aren't growing, they aren't going to stay, or they're just going to die off and leave. Empowerment, allowing people to actually participate and actually help direct the progress of the project. Processes. Everybody hates processes. They're the bane of our lives. But the more easy they are to learn and the easier they are to manipulate, even better. Makes a hell of a lot of difference. So, collaboration. Right, first person in the chat. What does TLA stand for? Anybody? Nobody? Very good. Spot on. Big prize there for Neiman. Don't talk in gobbledygook. Collaboration works very simply along the lines of understanding each other, right? If you're talking in acronyms, there is no point in having that conversation, right? Some things with aircraft and military stuff, yeah, okay, there'll be a few acronyms here and there. Certified love yard. Very good. Terrified love yard. Interesting. So there'll be certain things which people obviously put into an acronym, but don't write books using acronyms because it's pointless, because people just look at it and don't really fully understand it. Include the whole team in conversations. Don't try and cut different levels out just because they're lower grades. Ensure that the whole team understands what the bit of code is that somebody's writing, whether it's a CLA that's been doing it for, I don't know, 30 years, or whether they've just come into the business. You can still sit down with them and understand it with them. And it's a learning experience. I had a great conversation this morning with one of the guys, and they were basically saying, if there isn't a learning experience when you go to work, you're not thriving, you're not flourishing. Again, common goal. Everybody's got to pull in the same direction. If everybody knows what they've got to achieve and what they need to deliver, it will actually help you get forward. If one person's pulling in one direction and one person's pulling in another, you've got a negative there straight away. Listen to the team and streamline the development. They're the people doing the job. They're the people who understand what they're doing. There's no point in trying to reinvent the wheel when these guys know what they're doing. Growth. Again, learning. Take time to explain code. Allow the team to get certified. Promote growth. People. How's my team still coming up? Oh, God. Stupid thing. Anyway. People will grow. People will learn. And people will move on. It's a given. But if you give people a place where they can continuously learn, they can continuously grow, and they stay within your business, you're going to have a great sustainable engineering team. Empowerment. This is massive. This is probably one of the biggest points. If you don't let people have a say, you will basically you'll get people's backs up and you will start annoying people. All the members of the team have opinions. Lower grades bringing new ideas will really surprise you. Let them actually lead. Let them get on and show what they can do. Processes. Everybody hates processes. Don't write processes that tie you up in knots. It's a nightmare. And no matter how many times I hear it, one process fits all, it doesn't work. You have to make those processes very, very, very malleable. So as to say, for one team who's doing environmental test, the same process does not work for a test equipment department, does not work for an engineering department. So those are the 5 key things. The big thing is the outcome. You will get improved morale. You'll get common knowledge base. You'll get a universal methodology. You won't get into a situation when you'll have an engineer turn around to you and go, I've got this bit of code. Can you remember who wrote it? And what does it actually do? Because that person will more than likely still be within your team. In ongoing success, your company will flourish and you'll get an improved reputation because your turnout and your turnover and also your time to actual customer is going to improve. It's all about basically planting the seeds of your staff. In a previous employment, I'd been there developing standard processes using LabVIEW, anything from core 1 up to about core 3. An unstructured introduction of DQMH was put in place. We had a single point of knowledge. We got this guy who was putting this in. Slow development times, morale dropped off, and obviously I departed. So unsustainable going forward. You think about it, I was there 20 odd years. The amount of information that walked out the door that day to actually replace that and replenish that is going to be quite a lot. So in the current place where I'm at is I've identified all the LabVIEW users. This is anything from test equipment department through to engineering, through to environmental test. I understand what level they're at, what their understanding of LabVIEW is. When we're actually developing new code, we use the base level functions. Keep it all simple. Keep it very, very simple so any one person can pick up any piece of code and actually deal with it. Gives you a real simplified approach. Spend time actually explaining this to users. Common knowledge base. Everybody understands what everybody else is doing. Improved development time. The morale of the staff went through the roof because everybody was actually interested in what everybody else was doing. Now we've got a sustainable and educated team. We might not be using every framework under the sun and using every technique. However, we've got a team which is working on a level that we can understand and we can actually keep going. So, in conclusion, sorry to have rattled through this a bit quick because my time slot got cut a bit. Learn what knowledge your team has. Let them use it. You know what it's like when you're sat there and you go, I know how to do this, I know how to do this, I know how to do this, and you're not allowed to do it. Let your team flourish. Learn together, share together. So share the functionality of LabVIEW as it is. There's a couple of people in the audience now which I know are going to hate me for saying this one. Don't implement new frameworks and techniques just because you can or just because somebody says you should. I've got nothing against DQMH. I've got nothing against or any of the other frameworks. However, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Write code so anybody can understand it. It's much easier going into the marketplace if you've got to go and find a LabVIEW development engineer who understands LabVIEW Core 1 or Core 2 or Core 3, than going and finding someone who understands LabVIEW OOP. And simple is usually the best. It really is. It makes a hell of a difference. Hopefully this presentation is giving you ideas going forward. Sorry, it was a bit garbled and a bit quick. However, what I like to do now is provoke a discussion. So, roughly how many people in the audience, you can throw up comments in the chat or put your hands up or whatever, have been in that situation where you've joined a company and picked up a piece of code and gone, what does it do and how does it do it? Yeah. Had a funny you'd be there. Funny feeling you'd be there, Kabul. Yeah. How long did it take before you turned around and said, I'm going to have to rewrite this? I mean, are you talking 30 yeah, 30 seconds an hour? Yeah, I thought that you'd be somewhere around that. And this is what I'm trying to get to. I don't want to be starting to write code that 85% of the LabVIEW audience wouldn't understand unless they go on 20 different training courses. I mean, I've been floating around LabVIEW now for 25 years. I've seen code which has been developed from base level functions, and it works really, really well. Now, I've also seen code which has been developed from functions which come out. I mean, a classic one was daemons. I mean, I don't know, does anybody still use daemons? Because I've only ever heard of one instance of it being used in the entirety of time. So there's a lot to be said about keeping things very, very simple. And the big key element to it is keep it simple. Lots of people understand it. People get excited because they're doing very exciting stuff with very simple technology. And if somebody gets up and decides to leave, for whatever reason, whether it's a conflict in personality, pay, better opportunities or whatever, you can go straight out to the marketplace. You can put someone straight in place who's only been core 1, core 2, core 3. And this is the way which I'm trying to actually get things to work. And it really does work. We've been dealing with FPGA, RT, and standard PC-based programs. But we've kept it all absolutely brass tacks and simple. The engineer I've been working with, Laura, she's not certified in any way, shape, or form. She spent a lot of time actually dealing with an old piece of code. But when I showed her these new functions, etc., her eyes lit up. Then when I explained to her about RT, FPGA, and how it works and how you understand it, hey presto, her eyes lit up again. The morale went through the roof. The interest is there. So there's a lot to be said about keeping it simple. Any questions? I know I've flown through that and probably too quickly. I wouldn't be surprised, but any questions at all? Have I got anything in there? Do you think people should bother with certifications? I definitely think people should bother with certifications. I am not belittling certifications whatsoever. At the end of the day, I'm a CLA. If I was going to say don't bother with it, then I wouldn't have bothered with it. Certifications are great for getting, it's like having a degree. It helps you get your foot through the door. It helps you advertise. It also proves that you understand that exam and you understand the methodologies which NI basically put the exams across in. You know, we've all read the exams and they are worded in a way to make them very, very, very confusing. However, you can get certain people come in and say, I'm a CLD or I'm a CLA, but I've never done vision, I've never done DAC, I've never done this. All I've done is serial encoding using a bit of Visa. CLA is basically defined as mastery of everything that's LabVIEW or something like that. I think it is an overseer of everything LabVIEW or everything NI. I've had this conversation with people before because at the end of the day, if you try to deal with everything NI or everything LabVIEW, from FPGA through to Flexi, through to DAC, through to this, through to everything, you'd never do it because LabVIEW has become so big. We almost need a sub-genre of qualifications, which I think they were trying to do with the badge system, which says, actually, this guy's a CLA, and its experiences are DAC, FPGA, RT, so forth, so forth, so forth. So you actually wind up with a number of sub tiers to it as well. So when you go looking for a CLA or looking for a CRD, you can see what sub tiers they've got as well. I've seen people come in for interviews before and they've gone, I'm a CLD. And you put a functional global variable in front of them and they look at you and go, what the hell's that? That's a really good point, Jasper. Yeah. Basic user groups. Pull the biggest hot potato of the company. Jasper's just come back with a comment saying, working with team members, you should encourage development sharing, say once a month with internal presentations. Treat it as the hot potato session. They could basically say, this is the biggest problem we've got in the company at the moment with software. Right, let's analyze it. Let's get our heads around it. Let's get everybody in front of it. And you'll probably find it's the youngest, least certified person in the room that will actually find the answer. Because all the old boys will be thinking of the way they've done it is right. So there's a lot to be said to letting younger engineers into conversations and getting them to actually understand the problems. Any more questions? Come on, there's 93 of you, so surely there should be someone who's going to ask a really awkward question. Come on, please. No, I think that's it then. Well, thank you. Oh, good and interesting. I heard it within a partner organisation. Obviously, my contact details are in the chat and all over LinkedIn and all the rest of it. So anything you want to know, please feel free to message and enjoy the conference.